Greetings, this is Bradford Donald Keller Townsend, and this is a Forward Research Report, Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. The title of this brief video is Catastrophic Collapse and African Demographics. This is from Foreign Affairs, which is the site for the Council on Foreign Relations. It's a subscriber-only, member-only site. I'm just going to cover a few sentences and then give some comments. Sub-Saharan Africa's young and fertile population, which today is about 40% larger than Europe's, will be 6 times the size of Europe's by 2100, even if fertility rates drop soon. The moment for population growth will continue as today's children reach adulthood. Generating employment opportunities for them will require unprecedented economic growth, not just in 1 or 2 countries for a few years, but across the continent for multiple decades. Then I'm just going to go to the final paragraph. EU leaders, meanwhile, should be careful what they wish for. Sustainable aid interventions can help set fragile states in sub-Saharan Africa on a path toward greater development and stability. In the foreseeable future, these interventions will serve only to increase migration flows, not reduce them. And relying on cooperation of unaccountable authoritarian governments with abysmal human rights records, Europe risks deepening political tensions south of the Mediterranean, ultimately undoing whatever progress its aid projects could bring. The regional bloc's energies and funds would be better dedicated to creating significant legal and humane channels for African immigration. These might include greatly expanded labor migration programs, opportunities for students and internships, and a credible visa lottery system to encourage people to secure documents before leaving home. Given Europe's aging population, such efforts could be beneficial to both continents. If European leaders won't do this for Africa's benefit, then perhaps they will do it for Europe's. I heartily and vigorously disagree with this article from Foreign Affairs, and they have different differing opinions at Foreign Affairs. They're not just a one-note band. My uncle was the chief of all African affairs. I think he spent 34 years. He has a PhD in sociology, and having 3 senior directors in my family at the United Nations, I've always followed these affairs, and my uncle lived in Zimbabwe for years. And I've taken courses in African history and read a lot of books and studied it. The big problem is pollution. If people move from Africa to a much higher income country, they might see a 20% increase in their pollution and consumption patterns. So the exploding population in sub-Saharan Africa should not be moved to Europe and then enter a high pollution state. Realistically, we know that from systems dynamics, systems engineering, operations research is what my uncle called it during and the years after World War II. It can be called system engineering. Jay Forrester, MIT professor, hero and genius, was a leader along with my uncle John Woodburn in systems dynamics and operations research. In 1969, Jay Forrester did a study in system dynamics on urban dynamics of the city of Boston, Massachusetts, and found that residents moving into Boston unequivocally and demonstrated that having migrants move into your city, even if it's Americans moving to Boston, ruins the quality of life of the current Boston residents. If you're going to be in a city, he actually said that it's better to have a negative public relations campaign denigrating your city, because any improvements you make to the city or recruiting for jobs, the new people moving in, even if they're young, productive people, they draw more resources from the community than they. And in general, they cause congestion. They overfill up classrooms in the public school system, whether it's electricity, water, bathrooms, everything goes over capacity. So there's been all this effort to reduce European population, bringing in new consumers into a high consumption region of the world, increasing polluting of our water, oceans, the air, by the high consumption Europeans relative to the developing world, is a bad idea. If Europe does have a declining population, they should accept it, and if they do put money into Africa, they should have sustainable agriculture and other things that benefit. So foreign affairs is, in that particular article, is completely in error. And remember, foreign affairs is a Chamber of Commerce allied organization that is concerned with corporate profits and in the cult of growth, which is irrational. Thank you very much. Aloha, shalom, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.